The first step in my simultaneous equations is to label my equations 1 and 2. The idea is I have to get rid of either the x or the y's. So I've got to make either the x's the same or I've got to make the y's the same. In this case, it would be easier to make the y's the same. The lowest common multiple between 3 and 2 is 6. What do I do to equation 1 to get 6y? I multiply the whole equation by 2. What do I do to equation 2 to get 6y? I multiply the whole of the equation by 3. So if I do equation 1 first, 4x times 2 is 8x, minus 3y times 2 is minus 6y, and 11 times 2 is 22. I'm going to call that equation 3. For equation 2, I've got to multiply the whole equation by 3. So 10x times 3 is 30x, 2y times 3 is 6y, and minus 1 times 3 is minus 3. That is now equation 4. I've now got a 6y in equation 3 and 6y in equation 4, but they have different signs. One's a minus, one's a plus, and I have to remember my DAS. If the signs are different, then you add, and if the signs are the same, then you subtract. Well, the signs in front of my 6y at the top is a minus, and the sign in front of the 6y at the bottom is a plus, so the signs are different. If the signs are different, I add. So that tells me what I should do. So I'm going to tell the examiner what I'm doing. I'm doing equation 3 plus equation 4 because I'm adding them. 8x plus 30x is 38x. Minus 6y plus 6y is nothing, that cancels out, and that equals 22 take away 3, which is 19. To get x on its own, I have to divide both sides by 38, so x equals a half. I'm now going to label that one equation 5. I found my x, but now I have to find my y. I can substitute my x value into either equation 1 or equation 2. I'm going to choose equation 1. So tell the examiner what I'm doing. Substitute equation 5, which is my x equals a half, into equation 1. And equation 1 is 4x minus 3y equals 11. My x value is a half, so 4 times a half minus 3y equals 11. 4 times a half is 2, minus 3y equals 11. It has now become a simple solving equation question. So I've got to get rid of the 2 from the left-hand side, so I take away 2 from both sides. So now I have minus 3y equals 9. To find my y value, I have to divide both sides by minus 3. That gives me y equals minus 3. Those are my solutions. It is worth always checking your answers. I have an x value, I have a y value. If I substitute them into either equation 1 or equation 2, I should have the right answer. So I've got 4x minus 3y. Hopefully it should equal 11. So 4 times a half minus 3 times minus 3. I have 4 times a half, which is 2. Minus 3 times minus 3 is plus 9. And if I add those up, that gives me 11. So that is correct. I have the correct values. Here's a question for you to have a go at. Press pause and we'll run through it in a few seconds. First thing I'm going to do is label my equations 1 and 2. Which letters am I going to make the same? I think it would be easier to make the x's the same, and I have to find the lowest common multiple between 3 and 4, which is 12. What do I have to do to equation 1 to get 12? I multiply it by 4. And what do I do to equation 2 to get 12? I multiply it by 3. So equation 1 times 4. 3x times 4 is 12x. 7y times 4 is 28y. And 26 times 4, well, 4 times 20 is 80. 4 times 6 is 24. 80 and 24 is 104. I'm going to call that one equation 3. I've got to multiply all of equation 2 by 3. So 4x times 3 is 12x. 5y times 3 is 15y. And 13 times 3 is 39. I'm going to call that one equation 4. My x's are the same and they both have a positive sign in front of them. I must remember my DAS. If the signs are different, I add, and if the signs are the same, I subtract. In this case, both the signs are the same, so I must subtract. Tell the examiner what I'm doing. So it's 3 take away 4. 12x take away 12x is 0, so they cancel out. 28y take away 15y is 13y. And 104 take away 39 is 65. To find y, I divide both sides by 13. So y equals 65 divided by 13, which is 5. I'm going to call that one equation 5. I found my y, I've now got to find my x. So I'm going to substitute my equation 5 back into equation 1. So tell the examiner what I'm doing. So substitute 5 into 1. My equation 1 is 3x plus 7y equals 26. I know my y value, so 3x plus 7 times 5 equals 26. That gives me 3x plus 35 equals 26. It has now become a solving linear equation question. I've got to get rid of the 35 from both sides. So 3x equals minus 9. To find x, I divide both sides by 3. So my x value equals minus 3. Again, it is always worth checking to make sure you have the right answer. I'm going to use equation 1 again. 3x plus 7y should equal 26. Okay, 3x is 3 times minus 3 plus 7 times 5. So I've got minus 9 plus 35, and that gives me 26. So that's the correct answer.